Moen didn't say anything and immediately walked up to Anne. He quickly grabbed her hand and gently grasped it, and was very surprised by Moen's behavior. She asked him, "Young master, what are you doing?" And slowly followed behind Moen. She looked at the hand held by Moen, then raised her head to look at Moen, but still hadn't recovered from her surprise. She didn't expect him to actively hold her hand. The temperature of his palm slowly spread to hers, which made her feel very warm. Moen smiled lightly at the scenery in front of him. He held Anne's hand and led her forward. He confidently said to her, "Do you still need to ask about this? Let's go. We're going home now." The sunlight gently outlined Moen's silhouette with a golden rim, casting a soft glow around him. He led Anne into the sunny road. Seeing Moen's tall figure, Anne was deeply moved. Even though Moen didn't tell her the answer to the question just now, she knew what he meant to express. She gave a gentle smile and nodded lightly. Moen held Anne's hand and walked home with a happy mood. He silently said in his heart, including the cave incident, "There should be no problem this time. I'm able to persuade even an Anne with the ultimate Yander personality into acting like a normal person. I'm really amazing." He moved Anne, who had a crazy personality, and turned her back into a normal person. He was very pleased with his actions. Moen closed his eyes and showed a smug expression. Since Anne has returned to being a normal person, the outcome of being cut to pieces and imprisoned until death should no longer exist. He would no longer have to worry about his ending. That's exactly what he thought. However, 2 days after returning to the Duke's mansion, he encountered another thing that left him confused. Moen opened his eyes gradually. He seems to have just woken up from a coma. He noticed that he had returned to this place, that he felt very familiar with once again. At this moment, he was lying on a wooden bed, and he was not wearing any clothes. The dark circles around his eyes are very heavy, indicating that he did not sleep well during his coma. He looked at the ceiling of the room and recalled what had happened after returning home. After returning home and having dinner, I blacked out. This familiar dizziness and ceiling. So, where did the problem lie? Or did I trigger an uncontrollable factor in the original novel, causing time to rewind? Moen feels very helpless about the current situation. Although he transformed Anne back into a normal person through his actions, he was still brought back to this room by Anne in the same way. He doesn't know whether it's because Anne hasn't changed into a normal person, or because he did something else that led to this result. At this moment, the iron handcuffs on Moen's hands and feet made a crisp sound. He noticed that the iron handcuffs that bound him had already been opened by someone. "Young master." At this moment, Moen heard Anne's voice coming in from outside the room. He suddenly became nervous. He doesn't know what Anne wants to do to him next. Anne opened the large iron door in the basement and walked in. She held a set of black clothes in her hand and walked directly towards the wooden bed where Moen was located. She smiled at him and said to him, "Sorry to keep you waiting. If we were up there, We might be disturbed by other maids, so I can only bring the young master here. Moen is very dissatisfied with the way Anne brought him here. He asked her, "But why did you strip me naked and handcuff me?" And apologized to him and explained to him, "Sorry, young master. I'm afraid that when you wake up and find yourself in a secret room, you might escape like last time. So I have to temporarily control you." Upon hearing Anne's genuine idea of taking him to the basement, Moen's tense mood was relieved. He sighed and sat up from the bed. He gently rubbed his wrist while confirming with Anne whether her words were true. "I see. So, you won't imprison me anymore, right?" Anne replied, "Of course. I already know I was wrong." However, Moen still doesn't know what Anne brought him here to do. "So, why did you bring me here?" When talking to Moen, Anne had already taken off her maid uniform. She unbuttoned her underwear and said to Moen, "Young master, don't you remember? I told you the night before you ran away from home." Moen couldn't remember what he had said to Anne the night before he ran away from home. He muttered to himself while recalling what happened that night. "At that time, you said clothes." Moen remembered that Anne had told him that night that she had gone to a market to buy a very charming set of clothes, and that the clothes were black and made of smooth material. He knows he really likes this material. She specifically picked out a set of clothes made of this material and planned to show it to him, and said to Moen with a joyful tone, "You finally remembered. Please wait a moment. The size of the chest fabric seems a bit small. I'll adjust it." When Moen recalled what had happened that night, and had slowly put her clothes on her, then she slipped a pair of long gloves onto her hands, and placed a pair of bunny ears on her head. "All right, I know young master likes black and smooth texture, so I change into a thin jumpsuit inside the clothes, and put on a very charming bunny girl outfit." Due to the small size of the bunny girl's clothes, her slender figure and twin peaks are perfectly outlined. She gently turned around in front of Moen, showing him the details of the clothes. As she moved, her twin peaks also trembled slightly. The material of the black stockings on her legs is thin, and Moen can vaguely see her well-proportioned and beautiful thighs. She made a rabbit-like gesture, as if she were a little black rabbit, and made a V gesture towards Moen, and gave him a cute smile. She asked him for his opinion on this bunny girl outfit. "What does young master think? Do you like it?" Seeing Anne wearing this outfit, Moen was greatly shocked. He slightly widened his eyes, unable to believe that Anne had become even more charming after putting on this outfit. Due to the overly stimulating scene, Moen's nose had some nosebleeds. His eyes gleamed with excitement. He raised his hand and extended his thumb to Anne, expressing his great satisfaction with Anne's bunny girl clothes, and slowly reached Moen's bed and said to him, "I didn't consider young master's feelings before. Unilaterally possessing you is my fault. I have reflected on myself. So," and looked at Moen with a gentle gaze. She slowly approached him and gently stroked his hand, as if inviting him. Then, and lay on Moen's bed. Seeing Anne dressed in bunny girl clothes So close to him, Moen's nose was bleeding more. However, he doesn't have time to wipe off his nosebleed now. He stared closely at Anne, unsure of what she wanted to do next. Then, Anne said to him, "I will follow young master's wishes today. Young master can do whatever you want." For example, the young master had always wanted to try sitting on top of me before, and looked at Moen with a gentle smile. She gently touched her shoulder with her hand, as if casting a silent spell. She gently swayed her waist and twin peaks, as if tempting Moen to come closer to her. She couldn't wait to spend a pleasant night with him.